So Debra and I were going to talk about fear today.
If there are no rules, what is there to be afraid of? In creativity, in life, in earning a living? If you just come from the point of view of enjoyment and play, then nothing has any rules. I mean, were we ever afraid to go in the sandbox and make a mud pie? So if the mud pie collapsed, you made another one.
When I was a kid, I always used to make these drawings. You might have seen the ones I do now. And I'd make paper dolls, and I do those things. And then I hit around 12 years old, and I stopped making things, and I stopped being as creative. And I don't know if it's because, I was dealing things with my family, or if it was because I was afraid that I wasn't good enough. I started thinking about, well, this might not get the A in the class, or this might not, like this, if I'm too creative, then I might go in that direction, and I might go to art school, and maybe I can't make a living. Like, it kind of played into economics and what I would do with the rest of my life.
So why are we brought up that creativity stops like once we go to school? Or if you're going to be an artist, you better have plan B or plan A so that you could have a real job, and plan B is that you could be an artist, musician, poet, writer. I don't know why in this culture it's so difficult to be a creative person and not be economically rewarded for it.
Well, you've had interesting experience because you went to school for art, and you've always just kind of lived your life as a creative person, and you've made a living through that with jobs here and there, right?
Right.
What kind of things?
Well, I mean, first I was lucky that I taught at a university, and then when I moved back to New York in '79, I started a flower business because I figured flowers, people know what flowers are, so it's a service, but it's a creative service. I also did catering for a while because people know what food is, so I could make food the material and make that creative and use it in a form that people are willing to pay. To just make art, to make dolls, to make hats, that's not always so easy unless you know how to mass produce, and that's a difficult skill. That takes a whole other kind of marketing and thinking. But I still think living a creative life without fear is the most valuable thing.
Well, you always make it fun. It's always something fun, and it makes you feel good. And I mean, after starting this blog, I really realized that I could start being creative again, and I have had amazing opportunities from it. In college, all my friends were really good artists, and I always felt I can't do what they do because I didn't have that technical skill. I can't sit down and draw a picture and make it look real. That was my fear. And so I couldn't take a picture that looked like it was in a museum. So how would, I didn't see the value in that. I think there's an important thing to talk about value. And I think, but there's just a value in making things. It makes you feel good. It doesn't always have to lead to making money.
So where did you get the clarity and the courage to say, I can do these drawings that are mine with colored pens, and I'm going to do them because it feels good?
It's actually after I moved to New York. My grandmother used to live here. She went to Columbia Library School, and she was my best friend, and she was in San Diego, and when she passed away, but I was living in San Diego for a month. But she told me that I always had to move to New York because it's where everything was happening. I mean, you can live in any city and be creative, but for me, being here allowed me to be around so many people that were doing creative things, and I saw that I was almost, I don't know if, do you think reward plays into it? I mean, I think that's a part of confidence. It helps your confidence. Like, once people recognize my work, it made me feel good. I don't think it's a necessary thing. You have to recognize your own work.
Right.
But for me, I was taking photos and people enjoyed my photos. That gave me confidence. I think it's getting over, I think you have to just do it. Like, for me, it wasn't necessarily the comments and the positive feedback, but it was the fact that I put it out there. I was scared. I started drawing these pictures like I did when I was in school, and writing stories again. But I wasn't necessarily afraid of doing that at home. I was afraid of putting it out there. And I think that it just, like anything else, it just takes you doing it. I had so many other ideas. Like, I have ideas all the time, but I think it's good to focus on one thing and actually go through with that one idea and put it out there. And it doesn't have to be perfect, and it will change and it will develop in the process.
But the discipline of it, that you chose to take photographs in New York and you stuck with it, then you begin to build up your own sense of pride and sense of self-esteem because you're doing it and you get confident. And then when you get the feedback, it's even better. But nothing was going to stop you. And then out of that, you went back to your drawings because who you were photographing, advanced style, got you back into your drawing. And that was always there. And you knew that you didn't need to be recognized for it, or it didn't have to be a life drawing. This was just your expression.
Yeah. It's about expression, really.
Yeah, it's about personal expression. And my friend says we are closest to God when we're being creative, and that's true, because that's who we are. We're creative human beings, and I don't care if it's music, if it's making food, if it's dressing up, if it's making dolls, if it's making, a monumental painting or bronze sculpture. Doesn't matter. I work in used tea bags.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be avant-garde and eccentric or classic. I mean, it doesn't have to fit into any one mold.
Right.
You can do what's inside of you and express that on a piece of paper. I mean, it's really like taking a piece of paper, putting the pen down, and just moving it around and see what happens. Right. The other day, my mom has a big fear of being creative, and I think she was told when she was younger, that's not right, this isn't right, and she never had that building of confidence. And I was on vacation with her, and I sat her down and we took the markers to this, and she was so scared to draw a picture. I said, Mom, don't worry about it. She's like, it won't be good, Ari, it won't be good. I said, Mom, don't worry about it. It doesn't matter if it's not good. I'll help you do it. I'll put the glasses on the face.
Right.
So she started drawing it, and she made her nose, and it was a little upturned nose, which I don't do, but I thought it was really cute.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to her, keep on going, and she was like, no, I can't. But she sat there, and I said, if you don't like it, we'll get rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't going in a museum. I don't need to put this anywhere. It's for us to just do this process. You always talk about
it's
process.
It's an exercise, right?
And
you go to yoga class, the posture isn't perfect. You keep doing it. Every day it's different.
And we work together on it.
Yeah.
And then in the end, she liked it. She didn't love it, but she liked it. And hopefully that will allow her, maybe she'll go home now after visiting me and take a little sketch pad and do her own things. The funny thing about my grandma was she was more of an intellectual, and she did have a creative side, but she was always doodling on little napkins and pieces of paper. She had these little kind of the notepads that come from the bank, and they'll say something like whatever, or a real estate agent, and they're white. I used to love those pads of paper. And she'd always do little, and she never told me about it, and I never saw, she never knew that I saw them. Mm-hmm. But she was always in the kitchen, cutting her coupons and doing these little doodles.
Right.
So there was I'd always keep those and look at them. But for her, it was just a way to, I think, express herself, but it wasn't necessarily a serious thing. I think, you make it about fun, the process of doing.
And I think a lot of people doodle just because it releases nervous energy, and they don't know what's going to come out of it, but usually they're on the phone. And so I always say, a lot of times my best work is when my mind is somewhere else. Like I could be on a conversation on the phone, and my hands are doing the work. I let my hands do the walking. So I think that's what happens when people doodle, and they never know what's really going to come out of that.